Efficient Warlock. At this time, I'm using Fantasy Grounds 3.3.9. Probably one of the last updates or revisions for Fantasy Grounds Classic. We'll see. We're probably a month or two away from a release for Fantasy Grounds Unity. That's just a guess. I'm going to go ahead and build a Warlock, and I am going to show you how that's done. Hopefully this will help you, especially when it comes to spell casting and the pack boons and such. Those can get really confusing. So without further ado, I'll get started. Right now I have my desktop laid out the way I want. Everything's in its place, has order to it somewhat. When I go to the library, I have a bunch of Rob2E's modules for the coding effects. I have the core rule books, and then some. I have this heroic races in which I'm going to use a race out of here, and it's called the Hagborn. And basically, the Hagborn is basically going to be the race that I'm going to choose for this particular build. This is going to be an Archfey based Warlock. So I kind of wanted an evil hag, like kind of, or semi-evil. And then I have some other stuff here in case I want to pull from that. Like I have the Occult Secrets of Underworld. They probably have their own things, like the Under Terror, things like that. So we'll see. But without going too far into it, I've got the libraries loaded up. And you do that by going into the module section of the library. And then you would just load up whatever books you have available to you. So some of them would be downloaded, and maybe some of them you would put in the Fantasy Grounds modules folder made, but you have to load those first. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Create PC, make sure I just have the banners that I need, and I'm going to scroll through my library one last time. I've pretty much got everything and then some, so I'm not too worried about the library anymore. Going to close that. I am going to start building a character. So I click characters here, and I'm going to click this plus button, and that's going to give me my blank character sheet. I'm going to use the standard array for stats, and I know through research from the Warlock that they base their spell casting on charisma. So I want a fairly high charisma, so I'm giving her a 15. I'm going to give her a 14 dex. An 8 in strength, doesn't need to be that strong. Probably a 12 in wisdom. Let's see. I will leave her con. Let's see. 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8, 14. 13 is going to go in her intelligence. No, her con. That should do it. So she's pretty smart all around. Now I'm going to pick a background. So for the class, or for this particular session, I'm not going to get too hung up on it. But if you're playing in a module, or you're playing in a campaign, you're going to want to try to maximize what you can do with your character, and that comes with a little research and experience. Now, it's not always important to have everything in the right place, but it does help. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a background. And I started to build this character yesterday. I kind of already had an idea. I was going to have this character be an agent of some sort of the Emerald Enclave. And the Emerald Enclave are basically a bunch of Fey-based forest type, you know, like woodsmen, hunters, rangers, barbarians, druids. But those all seem to be fairly neutral or good. So I need to think of something else. A hermit would work. Being that she's all crazy and all. Medicine and religion, she lives in seclusion. I mean, that fits pretty good. Let me think of something else. Reincarnated, no. Spy, no, not really. Well, I think I'm gonna go with that particular build there. So I am going to make her a hermit, which kind of fits. And with the hermit, you get the medicine and religion back. You get those skills. So when I pick my race or my class, I don't want to pick those. I want to keep that in mind. So that's why we do background second, because if you have a race that gives you choices of class, that's great. But if you use the background later, like after you do your race, you won't have a choice to change. They'll be forced on you in most cases. So the skills do not double stack, nor does it warn you. So if you've already picked a skill, it's not going to warn you. So now I'm going to choose a race. Now I'm going to use a custom one. It comes from a third party. I'm going to go to races. And I'm going to choose this Hagborn. So, not a common race. I kind of want to make this more interesting for me and for the crowd. So, I'm going to drag that over. And you get different ones. There's the green Hagborn, which I'm going to choose. And I'm going to hit this confirm. And you get dark vision. Looks like she's got a couple added to her constitution. Probably, 2 to her intelligence too. That's pretty good. And then she's a green hack. So I will look that up later. But she gets claws and length and such. Now I'm going to pick a race, or excuse me, a class. And of course, she will be I'm going to choose Warlock out of the example. I'm going to open up this tab, drag Warlock from this area. You'll notice there's other iterations of it. That has to do with the fact that I have like 10,000 things. But I always pull from the player's handbook first. That way I don't guess at where I pulled. So regardless, I would just pull from the source. It's supposed to not break anything, but I'm kind of picky and OCD, so I have to stay kind of normal, or what I call it. So she has 2 skills to pick from. She has medicine, religion, definitely arcana, and maybe history. She'd be a total roleplay. Could be nature, which would make sense because it's vague. But I don't see her really making that a focus. So arcana and history. And now I need to pick my patron. And it's going to be the Archfey. And I'm going to go ahead and click this to confirm. So now I am first level Warlock. I am going to level this character up, starting at the first level. So if you're a new player and you just created your character, get it all complete, have your DM export it, save it at first level, so if you accidentally break it, when you go to second level, you'll have a backup. And what I mean break it is if you accidentally drag over the wrong thing, pick the wrong whatever, that will help you take care of the problem. Okay. So to level this person up, for this Hagborn character, I'm going to drag this over to the right, drop it back in, and that brings her up to level 2. Hit points are already added. On the abilities tab, all these Eldritch invocations stuff start adding up. So I'm going to drag this over once again, and we're going to go to 5th level, just kind of give you a heads up. So you got a Pack Boon at 3rd level, and now at 4th, you get more hit points, but you also get an ability score increase. So I'm definitely going to give her more charisma. So I'll give her 1 point in charisma and 1 point in dex. That'll give her, you know, survivability, and it kind of lends itself to her casting ability. But then she also has abilities that are based off intelligence, and then she'll have a fairly good health. So other than her strength, everything looks pretty good across the board. And I'm going to notate that in this area under the abilities. So charisma and dex. So those are the two that I chose to modify at 4th level. The reason I'm doing this now, because when I level her up again, if she was to have any constitution bonuses, that would carry up as well. So you want to make your stat adjustments as you're leveling up. You don't want to wait till the end. So now I'm going to drag it one more time. And then so she's given more hit points, got 38, not too bad. Her skills are here. She has her Eldritch invocations, her Pact Magic, her affiliation with the Archfey. I guess she gets a free cantrip because of her race, and she gets claws. So hags have really nasty, sturdy claws. And I guess that's a simple melee weapon, which I'll be able to add that later. But if I go to inventory and drag that in there, it's actually a weapon. It's 1d4, it's considered finesse. I'm just going to give it no weight, but I'm going to go like 0.001. So that way it carries some numbers in there. So that's her claws. And then we have stealth, sleight of hand. Nope, she don't get any of those. She does get herbalism kit, so I am going to add that to her skills list, which would tie in with her medicine, probably. So I am going to base it off the same stat, which in this case, for medicine would be wisdom. And with the herbalism kit, I'm going to change this to wisdom. And that gives her bonus from her proficiency bonus, +3. So that's handy. Normally she'd get a +1, but she gets to add the +3 from her proficiency bonus. So that's basically that's adding tools to her areas of expertise that comes from her abilities. So one of them is she gets herbalism. Well, she can wear light armor. So, I'm going to give her leather. She only has a 12 AC. You know, something like studded or anything like that might be good. So I'm going to go to items. And I'm going to see what she has available to her. Oh yeah, there's all this really nice different types of leather. Let's see. Yep, there's that. So I think I'm just going to give her standard leather. So she probably wears that under her robes somehow. Okay, so she has some fine silver. So that's part of her outfit. So she has some clothes, some common clothes with a dark hood. So when she's not lounging around in her lair, she'll go out in that suit of clothing that has a dark hood on it. And I imagine she wouldn't go into town in the middle of the day. So now I'm going to look at her abilities. So I did the ability score improvements already. Said for my group, I worked with one of my players and to build a faction using faction names as a background, working it into general lore. Yeah, that is cool to do that. I really appreciate that. That's something that I do. But in this case, she's kind of a Hagborn, so I don't see her really getting along too well with too many people. So I gave her the hermit background, but I do like the faction. She doesn't have to be evil, but I kind of want her to be different. So I guess she will be partially evil, like neutral evil. Let's see. Discovery. Oh, yes. This is an important role play. Reason why she's gives us access to a unique and powerful discovery. This could be an issue that the reason why she is the way she is. So this is kind of a role-playing thing, which I think is important to define what she is. It could be that she had uncovered a long-forgotten civilization or unearthed some relic of the past that could rewrite history, or information might damage people around her. So it all depends on what it is, but it's really cool. And then being a hermit, she can have this table, which I think they should have put right here, as to what her seclusion is based on. So we might add that into the backstory, depending on what comes up. I think I like the idea and why she's living in seclusion. Other than being a hag or half hag or whatever she is. Yeah, so she's basically going to be secluded in here for the most part. Being a warlock or a witch, basically. And just kind of hanging out in the woods by herself. Kind of creepy. So Elder's Invocations explains how the invocations are to be used and applied. So I'm going to keep this open because it kind of gives you a list and a breakdown of prerequisites and such. So that's kind of important. And then there's some others that are listed in Xanathar's as well. It's kind of the same information. So you can go either or. But I think Xanathar's includes a couple of the other spells. So I'll just use that documentation. Get an expanded spell list. So for being Archfey, you get to pick additional spells on top of what you get. So keep that here. Fey Presence. This allows you to project beguiling or fearsome presence. So that's kind of cool. You can scare them. That sort of thing. So that's kind of cool. Otherworldly Patron. So I need to figure out what patron, like an Archfey, what Archfey isn't. So I'm going to kind of think about that as more in the roleplay side of it. So all this stuff here is mechanical stuff. All this stuff over here is roleplay. And then Pact Boon is something I have to choose for this character. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to either pick Pack of the Tome, which gives me the Book of Shadows, or if I wanted her to have a little minion, like a, what you call it, familiar. We'll see. I think Pack of Shadows, Book of Shadows is really cool. Although it's kind of cool to have a little psychic. We'll see. And then we have Pack of Magic, which talks about spell slots and how much magic they get per level. And in the description of the Warlock, down here I have a list of how many spells and cantrips they get per level. So this shows you cantrips known, spells known, and she's 5th level, so she'll know 3 cantrips, 6 total spells, and she gets 2 spell slots. And the slot level is level 3. So the invocations that she has, which would be 3 of them, would be pretty powerful. Plus all her bonus spells. That's pretty cool. We'll see what happens there. And yep, so the cantrip, I'm gonna have to pick it, but you know one of the following: Dancing Lights, Mage Hand, or Minor Illusion. I was gonna say Minor Illusion. She might do that to disguise herself or to throw people off. And that's just a notated part here, so I know later to add that. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to eventually add, I'll probably end up adding illusion. So I'll just put that over here. And then Archfey pretty much just tells you what you end up getting for every level. So I guess at 6th level, when she gets there, she gets Mystic Escape. But for right now, she gets Fey Presence and an expanded spell list. And then we have to think about what a patron is. So she has the Fey Presence, so she's obviously Archfey for her choice. Or her patron. So now I'm going to go down the list here and finish up her inventory. So she has her claws, which is one way to do this is to bring this in as a weapon, which they've done. And then this Hagborn claws, they will be shown here as a weapon, which is totally fine. As a matter of fact, it's dexterity based. It's going to carry her dex bonus to attack, which is really cool. And then she's going to get +2 on damage. So, if you go to her main sheet, yeah, she's getting +2 from her 15 dex. So she gets +2 to hit and damage with her claws, which isn't bad for a natural weapon. So that cuts down on me having to get her a dagger or something silly like that. So that's kind of cool. She's got claws, so I don't need to get a dagger. Let's see. Although you can throw a dagger, where the claws not so much. So I'm going to go ahead and go to her library, or actually, I'm going to go to the library, yep, and I'm going to enable just one more banner and these are parcels. And the reason I'm doing this is because Rob2e has made a module which puts a lot of the equipment in background equipment packs, so you don't have to make them and drag everything over one at a time. It's kind of like having a backpack full of stuff, but this just really makes it more convenient. So I'm going to get the Hermit one first, which is her background. That gives her her starting gold and some of her equipment. So she has some common dark clothes. I'm going to delete those because I already gave her some. She has a winter blanket, scroll case, herbalism kit, leather, which she's already wearing. She has some notes that she keeps, and then her robes. So that's just from her background, and she has 5 gold. Now I'm going to go to Warlock. I'm going to drag that stuff out. And this will give her all the rest of her, all the basics. So she has a quarterstaff, which I'm pretty stoked about. I wanted her to have it. She doesn't really need the daggers, so I'm going to get rid of those. She has a crossbow and some bolts, which is great. What else does she have? She has a book, a bag of sand. Yeah, so she has some utensils to write with, and a little bit of gear. So I'm going to organize the inventory real quick. So I'm going to type the location right here as to where I want what stuff. One thing I noticed is she doesn't really have a pouch. So just a standard pouch. And then I want to get her a kit, which was the healing kit. Maybe it was herbalism. Yeah, herbalism, excuse me. Big difference. So she's going to have the herbalism kit. She already has one. My bad. Alright, so she's good to go there. Now I'm just going to continue this. So in her pouch keeps, let's see, ink and stuff. Actually, her herbalism kit is in the pouch. She has a little knife to use for herbal concoctions. I'm going to get her a case for her crossbow. So her component pouch, I'm going to have it in the other pouch. Her spells. Alright, so that should be, she has her claws, light crossbow, and a quarterstaff. And she has like leather armor, which I'm going to change that to 1. And then she has her little pouch with some of her important stuff in there. And then she has her robes. So that's pretty cool. So that's pretty good on gear. I don't want to load her up too much, because she can't really carry that much weapons. She's not very strong. So that's good for now. That's oh, I'm gonna give her one potion. This is kind of her savior in case something happens to her. And I'll put that in pouch too. So that's kind of her backup. And that's it. So that's good for equipment. And on her notes, so I made her neutral evil. I haven't picked out what her patron is yet, so I'll leave that blank for now. Let's see. So these are her personality traits. I've been isolated for so long where I can speak. I'm utterly serene. Community. Feel tremendous empathy. Oblivious. Yeah, I connect everything that happens to me a grand cosmic plan. She's convinced that her life is important. She's tied into some big event or something. She wants power. Solitude and contemplations are paths towards mystical or magical power. Self-knowledge, if you know yourself. No, I want to get rid of the is power. And bonds. Nothing is more important than to hide from the ones who might still be hunting. I must someday confront them. That might be seeking enlightenment. My isolation gave me great insight into a great evil that I can destroy. That is good. So even though she's evil herself, she's wrestling with her own demons and flaws. Harbors bloodthirsty thoughts of my isolation meditation failed as well. Dogmatic. I'd risk too much to uncover a lost potential. So there's that. And then for her seclusion, I'm going to roll and see what happens. It says, I was exiled for a crime I didn't commit. That might be cool. I retreated from society after a life-altering. I was a caretaker of an ancient. That's cool. So that's part of her background. Nice. So she was excluded. Back to this one. Yeah, so I'm going to put this information in her notes. That way, back to so we'll figure out her patrons. So right now, that's what I have. A pretty good start. Probably looks like she's close to 30. With the Hagborn though, she's probably like 5'7". Under 130 pounds, soaking wet. Like I said, I haven't really. Her appearance isn't going to be that great, and her deity or patron. Find out. So that's her cantrip. So you know what? We might as well get her spells out of the way because that's probably the most things, or you know, that'll be the most work. But I'll go ahead and fill in a couple things. So she has 20 crossbow bolts. She has a quarterstaff. Now I want to make it to where she can use it both one-handed or single. So I'm just going to make another variation of this weapon. So if I click the edit button, click the sword, it'll make a new line. I want to change this to carried or equipped. And then I'm going to take the properties of the original item and copy it over to this item, except for the damage type. So the damage type is always going to be a D8 for a quarterstaff if you use it two-handed. And bludgeoning, that's going to be the same. Everything else is. Go. So now I have two instances of the same weapon. That way if I use it single-handed or two-handed, I will be able to. Yeah, maybe that background music is a little loud. I can turn it down. There we go. So yeah, I turned that down a little bit. Hopefully that helps. Now I'm going to deal with this sheet here. So first thing I'm going to do is stretch this out because I'm going to be adding a lot of different sections. So the Hagborn, they get a spell and they get claws. So I don't need to make a different section for that. But I will add the cantrip at some point when I'm doing her spells. So I think for right now though, I'm going to add her kind of her mundane stuff. So I'm going to click this edit list and click the star. And this is going to be her supplies. She doesn't really have much in this, you know, as far as this goes. I think the only thing she has is her potion. And I might put something in there for like water or something. She doesn't really have anything. So I'm just going to make her potion. So I'm right clicking on potion and clicking add action. And I will now click the add heal, which adds the function to it. And then all the way across to the right here under this magnifying glass, it's kind of hard to see it. But if I click that, that is the properties of the heal potion. So I'm still in the middle of making it. So I'm going to drag, I'm going to pick up 2 dice, 4-sided, drop them in there, and put 2 in bonus. So I leave all this stuff up here alone, targets and HP. That's what you want this to say for a healing potion. So now the healing potion has functionality instead of just a listing. And then if I, let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add another section. And these will be basically standard actions that she can take instead of casting spells or fighting. So I'm going to go ahead and click spells. And you go to the 5e class feature effects coding, or in this case it'd be the 5e effects coding class features. And then you've got these 4 actions. So again, I'm going to click on the star. And I'm going to drag those over there very carefully. That way they go to the right area. So I'm dragging it right to this blank cell. If you just drag it anywhere, they end up defaulting as a spell, which isn't a big deal. You can change the category, but it's nice if you get it done right in the first place. So there's all those. And now, since I'm here, I'm going to go to class features. So she is a warlock, so I'm going to make that section first. So here I am going to add this list here, and I'm going to make a new section again by hitting the star. And this is going to be called like Warlock abilities or class features Warlock. Quick question. Should targets and healing be self? It can be, but the problem with that is if you leave it as self, then that potion only works on you. So if you want to be able to drag the potion or the effect to another character, it won't work. So you want to leave it on targets. So when you consume it, you either drag it onto yourself or you drag it onto a target, provided that you want to heal them. So I would leave it as targets instead of self. So you don't want to limit yourself to just yourself. It's for that type of potion. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look up her Fey Presence. She gets that. And see, I didn't put it in the right place, so it went to the wrong section. And that cleans that up. Packed boon. See, there really isn't a packed boon because it's a bunch of changes to spells. And then you have Fey Presence, expanded spell list. So the rest of this is going to be basically, the rest of this is going to be just notes and such. So the rest is going to be basically spells. Let me see. Yeah, so I'm going to change this to, I'm going to make one more section. And this is going to be her racial abilities. Even though she already has her clawborn thing with claws, I'm going to go ahead and create another section for her racial. And the reason I'm doing this is because of the spell that she gets for free. So here in the Hagborn, I am going to grab that minor illusion. And see, it is based on intelligence. The rest of her spells, in most cases, those are going to be based on charisma. So I have to make another section for this. And I'm going to also change this to the spell coding for the spell effects. And I'm just going to search for minor illusion. So here's minor illusion. I'm going to drag it to her section here. And it is a, it's not that big of a deal, but it is based off a different spell casting ability. So here in the metadata, I'm going to change this to intelligence. So I'm going to force that, and that would be good if you had saves and stuff. So this, I would want wisdom, or excuse me, charisma. Okay, and then I got out of the edit mode, and now I'm going to look up favorite present. It says you can't use it again until you finish a long or short rest. So I'm going to change this combat mode to standard or preparation and summary. So she gets to use this once on a short rest, which is correct. It's set up that way. And then her potion is one time only, so one use only. So that's once, and then it's set to rest. And then this minor illusion is set to intelligence because that's what it's based on. Even though I don't think that has much of a saving throw. Yeah, there's really no saving throw there, looks like. Well, let me see. Yeah, just as a note, it says minor illusion itself. So that's why we did it that way. Alright, so now to pick her spells. So I'm going to give her the expanded spells first. Get those out of the way. So, Fairy Fire. So I'll drag that over right where it says spell slot. And it'll go where it needs to go. And I want to change this to Charisma. Make sure it gets the right DC and all that stuff. Yep. She gets Sleep. It would help if I spelled it correctly. Okay. And then she also gets Calm Emotions. And Phantasmal Force. Okay, that's that. And then she gets Blink and Plant Growth. Plant Growth. And she gets Dominate and Greater Invisibility. Which one is it? Let's see, Dominate Person. No, she doesn't do that. That's way too high level. So that's probably about the highest she'll get is this Blink and Plant Growth. Yeah, she's not going to go beyond. That's third level spells. Okay, so that's that. She'll get those for free later on when she doesn't have the power right now to cast it. So those are her bonus spells. And I dealt with her cantrips. So that's that. Now I have to look. Her Fey Presence is dealt with. Okay. So okay. Back of the tome. You no longer need Struts of Seven. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna get Eldritch Blast. I mean, that's a no-brainer. So Eldritch Blast is gonna be added to her spells as one of her 6 spells. So what I'm gonna do is go to the spells again. And I'm going to, first I'm going to pick her cantrips. Getting kind of ahead of myself. So I'm going to filter this list to 0. That's for cantrips. And source is world. Okay, so Toll of the Dead is cool. I'm gonna give her Eldritch Blast. And probably she already has Minor Illusion. So I would think a nasty little spell like Infestation, Lightning Lure, something kind of nasty. True Strike, Toll the Dead, that's pretty cool. Thunderclap. Yeah, I'm gonna give her a spell of Infestation. That's a nasty one. Now, she gets Agonizing Blast from her from her Eldritch Invocations. She gets 3 of them. So this will be 1. So what that does is it changes this Eldritch Blast, and I'm going to call it Agonizing Blast. And she gets her Charisma bonus modifier to the damage. So her Charisma modifier is +3. So what I'm going to do is change the damage here. It's 1d10 force. Let me look at that first. So 1d10 force, the spell creates more than 1 beam when you reach higher levels. So you get 2 beams at 5th. So that's awesome. So she gets to use it twice. And it's going to go by her Charisma. Yep. So her Charisma bonus adds to this, and that's one of her pack boons. Back of the tome, you get to cast those cantrips. Yeah, so she'll get some more. She gets to choose 3 cantrips from any other class spells. So that's going to be awesome. So I'm going to do that now. So this is part of her pact. So now I'm going to unfilter this. She gets 3 more cantrips. This is totally awesome. Any spell she wants. So definitely want this poison spray. Guidance, maybe. Eldritch Blast. Sure, kind of already cast something like that. Let's see. I think Guidance is good. What else? Resistance, Sacred Water, Shape Water. Spare the Dying. No. Thorn Whip. Thaumaturgy might be a good thing. Oh, Vicious Mockery. Definitely. She gets one more. Probably Thaumaturgy that kind of goes with her illusion. Or just Reduce Flame. Prestidigitation. Mending. Mage Hand. There we go. So for being a warlock, that's not a bad thing. Worth of spells there. She gets quite a few. And if the book is on her person, she gets to cast them at will. They don't count on the number of cantrips now. So they're on top of. Any cantrip you cast with this feature is considered a warlock cantrip. That is cool. Okay, back to the tome. Cool. That's a lot of spellcasting. So now, she still gets to pick some spells. So she has, let's see, these are bonus, these are bonus, and these are bonus. So what I'm going to have to say is that she gets to pick 6 more spells from levels 1 to 3. And they are cast at 3rd level. So I have to remember that. So what I'm going to do is go to level 3, or actually level 1. Refilter it back to Warlock. And pick 1 or 2 out of that list. If they're useful. So Witch Bolt. Definitely want that. A nice offensive spell. And let me look that up. Witch Bolt, Crackling Blue Energy. On a hit, they take 1d12. At higher level, spell slot of 2nd or higher, the initial damage increases by 1d12 each slot above. So that'll be 3d12. So I'm going to change this damage. So here, it's all ready to go. So 3d12 for the Witch Bolt. That's pretty powerful. So that adds in your bonuses for. And then that becomes, I'm going to use one of her Eldritch Invocations to change it to Armor of Shadows. And the only difference is it doesn't expend a spell slot, which is awesome. So I'll just put a little note there. Speak with animals. Back to the tome. So you can inscribe magical rituals into your your shadows. Choose 2 first level spells that have the ritual tag from any spell. The rituals need to be from the same list. The spells appear in the book and don't count against the number of spells in the book. So this is part of the pack of the tome. It's called Book of Ancient Secrets. I can look down here and see what else we have. Elder's Blast can be a cantrip. Eyes the Runekeeper. So some of these have level requirements. Improved pack weapon. Grasp of Hadar. Gift of the Ever-Living Ones. Oh, I forgot to give her Hex. So I'm definitely going to get her that. Yeah, Hex definitely. So that's enough for first level. I got her 2 first level spells. Now I'm going to go to second level. And pick a couple out of there. Let's see. So I'm gonna give her Misty Step. She gets that at 6th level, so I don't want to give her that. Ray of Enfeeblement is actually pretty cool. So I'm gonna give her that. And maybe Old Person. Yeah, something like that. It's awesome. And now level 3. I can give her, I believe, a couple. Let me double check. So, yeah, her spell slots. Spells down, cantrips down. So she knows 3, 6, 2 slots, 3rd level slots. Okay, so our last invocation is going to be this thing here, which is the Book of Ancients. So she gets to pick a couple more spells, 2 first level spells, and they have to be ritual based, but she can cast them soon. And then I have to finish up her spells. So at least give her one more 3rd level. Counter spell. It's nice. Yep. And then one more. Summon lesser demons. Dispel magic is kind of cool. Hunger of Hadar. I think I'm going to give her Summon lesser demons. That'll be really cool. So that's that. Now she gets ritual spells. Said choose 2 first level spells that have the ritual tag, and they can be from any school, so that's awesome. So for a class that doesn't get a lot of spells, this one is getting a ton of spells. What's cool is half of them are freebies. Let's see, anything with an RIT. Purify, food, drink, Tensor's floating disc, unseen servant. That actually might be cool. Find familiar. Detect magic. That's a definite. Armor of Agathis. Absorb. Let's see. We want ritual. Ceremony. Detect poison. Disease. Illusionary script. I'm gonna get her Tensor's floating disk. It seems like a waste, but you don't know how well that comes in utility. Okay. So that is her spells. Wow, that was a lot of stuff. So she got her 3 pack boons, which were some of the special stuff. And then what I'm gonna do is you can go in here and look to see when you cast the 3rd or 4th level, you can maintain concentration longer. Anything that does damage, basically, I would go in here and see. Like Witch Bolt, I think we dealt with that already. Agonizing Blast. When you see higher levels, you get, yeah, she gets 2 beams. So I just put ×2, so remember that. Yeah, so this is a pretty cool character. So now that I'm done with that, now I'm going to save it. So in the chat, I do /save, hit enter, and that saves the character. Now I don't really have a token for it, but I'm just going to give her one anyways. And that should be good. Quick question. Oh yeah, we already got that. Yeah, so that's basically the Archfey Warlock. I never picked her Archfey. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be. Some kind of crazy thing, but yeah, so she's got all her stuff, all her actions. Let's see what that looks like. Oh yeah, she's got a ton of things to do here. So she only has 2 slots, but they recover after a short rest. She has this minor illusion, plus all these cantrips that she can rely upon, including that agonizing blast. And then she has, you know, 1st through 3rd level spells, in which she can cast from her 2 slots. And she gains them back pretty quick. And then she has a healing potion, her standard actions, and her weapon. So this is a pretty well-rounded character. So anyways, I think that'll be it for today. Again, this was Founder Laerun of FGC creating a Warlock with the Archfey patron, and she took Pact of the Tome, which gives her a lot of extra spells. So again, hopefully that helps you a little bit if you ever have to build a Warlock. They can be quite, how would you say, complex. Yeah, Angry Toast, I'm actually going to put this up on YouTube later. So it'll be up there probably tomorrow. And there'll be a playlist of these. I've done, you know, some bards and, you know, other character classes as well. So yeah, I'm sorry you missed. I just got done building a female Warlock 5th level. And she was a Hagborn, which is not a standard race. The Hagborn comes from the Book of Heroic Races. And she was a Archfey patron. And she was basically picked Pact of the Tome. And that was her build. And then I just kind of built her from scratch. So hopefully you'll be able to see the replay if you need to see it. And there's more up on our YouTube channel. Just look for Fantasy Grounds College on YouTube and you'll see a bunch of videos. So I think that will be it. Thanks everyone for watching, and take care everybody.